we're going to move on to the Jaguars. So, Brandon, coming into this season, I for one was very, very excited for the hire of Doug Peterson. I figured probably the best case scenario for Trevor Lawrence after just the whole previous coach, Urban Meyer fiasco and everything else. I thought it was more going to be more of a long-term benefit. I was not anticipating this quick of a turnaround to have them be the AFC South champions. So, your thoughts on that, and your thoughts on the matchup this weekend?
Yeah, so a lot of the things they did in the offseason, I wasn't totally on board with. Paying Christian Kirk that much and Zay Jones, I wasn't totally sure that was the best thing. But I do know as a Jags fan, they have to overpay players to come here.
Mm,
It's just in the past they've overpaid the wrong players, and it looks like at least early on they paid the right players. They are having career years, including Evan Ingram. And it was interesting because early on, there was a lot of hype. They played very well early on. They did beat the Chargers earlier in the year. And then they were up on the Eagles, early in that first quarter. And then things kind of fell apart. And then we saw, they came back against the Raiders, but they were losing a bunch of games. And, at least for me, I thought the season was over and it was kind of get the young guys, get ETN and Trevor some time. We'll go to next season. But then they started getting hot, and I'll be honest. I know that it was a mess last year with Urban Meyer, but there are certain things that Trevor did, in the games. I was just a little worried about because he seemed very inaccurate. He didn't seem to have like those go-to moments. So I always
mm,
thought he could be a good quarterback, but in these last second half of the year, he's kind of brought back the thought, especially in Jacksonville, that he can be elite, and he's doing a lot of things. In this last game against the Titans, he kind of reverted a little bit. A lot of people, in Jacksonville and in town have said that the moment might have been a little too big for the offense,
mm.
because early on, there was, that trick play that went horribly wrong, which I don't understand. You're driving the ball. I don't know why you even run that play. I know they like to get the ball to Jamal Agnew. He's a great athlete. But they were moving the ball, and Trevor missed a couple throws, especially the one wide open to Zay Jones in the end
Yep.
zone.
Yep.
But I think it was good because the defense showed that, they saved the game for them late in that fourth quarter before that fumble. I didn't think they would be able to do that. So, they definitely the season had its ups and downs, but you definitely see the promise with the team. I am a little concerned about how they will deal in a playoff game. It's a night game, so it's going to be very, very hyped up and everything there. Uh, Hopefully, the team doesn't get too the emotions too high. I think it's really important for the offense to score early, get the crowd excited, and everything. And I kind of want to go back to that Chargers game earlier in the year in LA, because historically the Jags do horrible on the West Coast. They usually get blown out by like 40 points. So but Keenan Allen and Mike Williams didn't play in that game. Justin Herbert was dealing with the ribs. Obviously, I don't know if Mike Williams is going to play because I saw he didn't practice today, and he got injured last game, which I think is huge because our second quarter corner, Darius Williams, is a smaller corner, so they could have really taken advantage of that. So another thing that I think in this game, I think that game gave the Jets some confidence, but I think it's a totally different, matchup with Keenan Allen back. I think one thing that the Jaguars will need to do is run the ball much better because the Chargers gave up 200 yards last week and just have not been very good at stopping the run. Last week, the Titans shut down Travis Etienne, so it's all passing. And if the Jags cannot pass the ball against the Chargers this week, I think with Bosa and Khalil Mack and all those guys, it's going to make it very hard. And the Jags
Mm,
offensive line has to play a lot better than they did against the Titans. I think the receivers can get open against the Chargers. Trevor just has to hit them. I will be interested with Evan Ingram because he's kind of had, a rebirth there in the second half of the season. But the Chargers actually play really well against the tight ends. They are only given up all season 10 fantasy points per game, and in the last 4 weeks, they're top 5 against tight ends. I assume Derwin James could spend some time on Evan Ingram, so he would match up well. So interested in that part because we know that Doug Peterson loves to go to the tight end. And I
Oh
think
yeah.
on the Chargers side, I think I actually wanted the Jags to play the Ravens instead of the Chargers just because the Jags defense matches up way better against running teams. And I think the Titans, even with Josh Dobbs last week, the Titans probably should have continued throwing the ball a little more because they were having some success with normal passing plays. But they were just trying to salt that game away, which I somewhat understand. Uh,
Right.
I think I think the Chargers could be very successful with Austin Eckler, obviously out of the backfield. Um, Oluokwan and Devin Lloyd sometimes have trouble in coverage, so you could get him out there. And also Keenan Allen, with a quick passing game, and even Gerald Everett, the Jags historically, no matter what coaching staff, they've had trouble against tight ends. But I definitely think this game is going to be a total different game than the Titans. You said the over under was 47. I would take the over. I think it's going to be a high scoring game. And it could very well be the last team that has the ball could win. And it's going to be interesting too because both coaches love to go for it on fourth down. So
Yep.
there might not be an attempted field goal in this game. And it might be the winner might be the coach that makes the right decision on on those analytics fourth down calls.
Yeah, yeah, no, I think the key to this game is going to be the Jacksonville offensive line and how they can hold up with the defensive front of the Chargers because that'll potentially affect the running game. And then basically, if I was the Chargers, I would just take a look at what the Titans did. It just provided a lot of pressure on Trevor that kind of got him off his rhythm and stuff. So hopefully they can make those adjustments. But would you say you're fairly confident, neutral, or not so confident in terms of the Jags winning this one?
I really think like the line, it's it was one, it might be two now. I think it's kind of a coin toss,
Sure.
in
Yeah.
this game. Obviously, at home and everything, it's going to be, the energy is going to be great there. Um, you know, but there's always a worry that, if they come out flat, obviously I think the Chargers could jump on them because this Chargers team is totally different from what it was early in the season. But we've seen also this Chargers team sometimes comes out flat itself. It doesn't score as well. I don't know, their motivation last week, but they did play the starters for well into 3 quarters, and they struggled against the Broncos. And Russell Wilson was able to run around a little bit, kind of like Trevor likes to do. Made some throws, out of the pocket. So that will be some big things too. But I think it's definitely a toss up. I don't feel super confident, but I also feel like they have a great chance. So it's probably, I would give us a 55% chance. Got to give us above 50 since I live in Jacksonville.
Oh, there you go. Perfect. Yeah, I think win or lose this weekend, I think the Jaguars fans should be extremely encouraged, like long term, right? So it's definitely a good step in the right direction. So if they come out of this weekend with a win or a loss, definitely feel very good about the years ahead. Could be an official changing of the guard there in the AFC South, just with Tannehill getting a little older, and the Colts are a mess. The Texans, well, I guess the Colts are just like a quarterback away, but still, it may be a couple years there. But the Texans are just who the heck knows. But yeah, so I think win or lose, you guys should be feeling pretty good. Say Jags lose, who would you be rooting for? Or who would you be rooting for in the Super Bowl if not for the Jags? And who do you think will win the Super Bowl?
Okay, so first, who I'd be rooting for, I think like everyone, with the Bills and everything that's happened, I have a lot of friends that are from Buffalo Bills fans, so I already have a little bit, of rooting interest. But then everything that's happened,
Of course.
and then that heartbreak last year when Josh Allen like willed them, and then all that, and obviously with Kansas City, winning a Super Bowl recently. also the Eagles winning a Super Bowl recently. And everyone else in the NFC don't really, necessarily care for. But I personally think it's going to come down to Philly and Kansas City.
Okay.
I just right now I just can't bet against Patrick Mahomes. I mean, he's making it work, and they are running the ball better than they have in the past. And I think that could be a big thing. If the game was in Buffalo, if they were able to get that home field advantage, I'd probably lean Buffalo. But not being there, I think Kansas City can play in the neutral location and still be able to put up points. And their defense has played better this year.
For sure. Yeah, I like that. All right. Sounds good. I appreciate your thoughts and best of luck to the Jags for sure.